like to call this meeting to order at,
Okay.
what time is it? 5:02.
Okay, we'll do roll call here. Cody,
Yes.
Hess, Chops,
Here.
Honkala,
Here.
Gregory. All right.
I don't have an agenda for that.
I got one here for older staff appearances first. I have one here. But I can.
Thanks.
So staff appearances, we really don't have anyone on staff that's gonna chit chat today. I do have my update that I'll go on. Our reorganization committee meeting is May 15th, and that will be with the 49ers, business agent and their union steward, and then myself and Mitch. And if one of you two would like to make that, you can chat afterwards and let me know what you guys are doing. I think it's at 9 o'clock in the morning on that Monday.
May 15th.
May 15th. Yep, so one of you guys are welcome.
One?
One or both, whoever's in the committee. We'll chat afterwards. But, so that's May 15th at 9 o'clock. There are going to be 2 appearances by the public, or at least that are on there. One is Alto Belly, and this was before my time here, but it's the community center refund. It's her sister who had, she is here representing her sister who actually filled out the form. The situation is they filled out the forms, they went in a day early on Friday, which they did not pay for. They were supposed to be in there just Saturday. And then for cleanup, the custodian had said there were some tables and some things that they caused them some extra work. So they did not get their deposit back. So the $50, the deposit, 50 would be for the extra day that they went in, and then the other $50 would be for the extra cleanup the janitor custodian had to do. So if they come and appear, you guys can listen to that, decide how you want to rule on that, but.
When did they go in? When was that?
This was back, I want to say in it was before my time here, so.
Oh, it was before
it's
their time.
before I was here. So,
Do you know what they used it for?
it was a baby shower, I believe.
That was, okay, so they're asking from before your time here to get their refund back?
Yeah, and there is.
Their deposit.
Their
Their
deposit?
And this is why I do want to go to a key thing as well, but they did fill out the form, they were told there, if you go in a day early, it's an extra $50. They did go in a day early without paying $50, so they kept the 50 for that, and then the cleanup. And again, this is just the custodian. So.
See, I have a problem with our rental. This paying is $50 for going in there the night before to set up. I don't think it should be charged. If there isn't being rented, that's just like if you're gonna have a wedding there, so you gotta pay 2 days rent to use the building. You want it set up. The cleaning fee, I got stuck for the same thing. My wife did. 13 of us cleaned that building up and they come and said it was dirty afterwards. We never got ours back from my granddaughter's graduation. Nobody went and checked. They took the janitor's word. I never got mine back either. I feel for it because it ain't right.
One thing I think that early charge, we want people to use our building. We don't want to discourage them from not choosing to have events there, So.
But I think it's fair to charge them a fee to go in a day early. And if I were using it, and my family does use it for Christmas time,
Okay.
we go in there the day of because they don't want to pay that extra fee of XYZ. And so that building does cost the city of Aurora a lot of money to maintain, to heat, and to use. And yes, we're going to pay it to heat regardless, but if we can offset this, and we all heard we need to tighten our purse strings around here. And so should we give the fee away if someone's willing to pay? If you don't think $50 is fair, I mean, maybe we should revisit the cost of the fee to get in the night before.
Because what is it to rent it? I can't remember,
$100.
$100? And honestly, to have somebody else, to have our stuff in some, I'm just thinking from my perspective, I had my daughter's baby shower there. $100 to have my daughter's baby shower there, and I don't have to clean my house, I don't have to do any of that. It's $100 well spent.
It is. We do it for our family Christmas every year.
For the cleaning solution, Richard, I think with my position being here, it's a block away. I can walk over and check it out.
Well, here's a list I got from somebody that just rented it.
Yep.
Restrooms, toilets dirty. We had to rewash all the silverware. Standing water in the closet by the kitchen. We reported this. Russ come and cleaned it up. No hot water. We ran water for 30 minutes, then called the city. Skin and Russ fixed the heater. Dishwasher trapped full of food, dishwasher leak. No dish towels, sink was full of dirty rags, refrigerator was dirty, stinky stuff on the bottom, we had to clean it. 2 tables left out, all the tables we had to wash the tops, they were all dirty. Garbage in the kitchen can, no freezer, we were not informed that there wasn't one, we had frozen items. The black brick cleaner that was on top of the shelf of the clean dishes, all the dishes under it had to be rewashed so they could use them. This comes from a business in town that rented it.
Yeah, and I would agree that that's unacceptable.
I wanna know
I
who
think
we're
it-
paying, who do we pay to clean that?
When
Because
was this?
that's like not acceptable.
Just lately.
Who are
Oh,
We had a
this year.
difficult time
Oh, yeah, 2
finding
weeks ago.
someone to go in and clean.
that's-
Remember, we had that position open for a long time, and maybe we should reevaluate the job description and go over some more things with people that rent it. Like, if the janitor isn't gonna go through and sift through every single table to see if they're
No.
washed. That's the person that used it before. Which is why you need to take a $50 deposit so that if it is left unclean, that we have some kind of leverage.
Well, we got a janitor that don't clean the floor, he just mops here and there.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but
And
I'm
this
saying
taking-
that this
This
deposit
taking
that
tables
people
up and down is the worst thing that can be, because all you're doing is destroying the tables. There should be some tables left up in there, there's no reason to take them all down. And when they've been taken down, you just tip them over, so you got divots in the new floor.
So why don't we do this then, since I'm here now, we can sit and chat, if Richard, you wanna bring that into me, I can sit down with the custodian, and I can sit down with you guys one-on-one and try and come up with an idea of how we can better utilize that and get them.
and make it fair. And then if a person has a discrepancy, such as the Hesses,
Yep.
Mary could come to you and ask.
Correct.
You know, that way that eliminates that janitorial word or whether he did it or not
yeah.
do it.
Holy cow, that's bad.
And this is good for me to have, and I can call in the custodian and sit down with them and say that, this is what we've had, and put them on notice that this place needs to be cleaned up and do we can better. So,
Well, the thing is, I told them, my wife, I said, don't fight it, give them the money if they need it that bad. If the city's that broke that they gotta take money from you for cleaning the building, because if you know my wife and my daughter, it wasn't dirty when it was left, I can tell you that.
And it probably wasn't, because I want to tell you my experience when we rented it for Holiday Heritage. We had went in there, and the city let us in there a day early. They didn't even charge us a fee.
See?
We're nonprofit though.
So you
So
should
we
be any
got
better
it.
than
We got
anybody
it.
else.
Well, nonprofits don't get charged to rent the
But you
building.
shouldn't get an extra day because of it.
We can talk about that too, Richard, but here is the scenario. We walked in, it was fine, it was clean, and then we came back, and it wasn't, but 45 minutes later, the whole kitchen was full of soda. Somebody had thrown a can of open soda in the garbage container in the kitchen, and guess where all that soda went? It would probably look like we were the ones that left it that way, but it wasn't us that threw the can in the garbage. So, I mean, people have access to that building, right? So who's to say, one of the public works gentlemen came in there, drank their Mountain Dew and tutu, and then the Hesses are now charged for a sticky floor. Just saying, it could happen that way.
Well, I will let her state her case, and you guys are obviously passionate one way or the other, and you guys can listen to it and decide where you wanna go. I'm not gonna,
Okay.
again, this is before my time, I just wanna maybe we can show off.
Okay.
But
Sounds
Richard,
pretty
we can
heated.
meet this week, and we'll give you that list, and I'll set up a time meeting with them, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Pavla's coming here, he'd like to donate a hoop to Pine Grove Park, that's all it is, he wants a basketball, he wanted to make sure it was okay, so I told him to come and chat. Okay?
We have a hoop though for Pine Grove.
He just wants to buy one temporarily, because this one's not permanently installed, and then when the wind goes in, that one will go on the other side, we can have a full.
Can we look at, because the Parks Committee looked at that, this should actually come to the Parks and not the City Council, I feel, because we have discussed that before, putting up a temporary hoop before this, the permanent one goes in,
Mhm.
and it was determined that it was too much of a liability.
Sure, and if you want to tell him that when he comes here,
It should have came to the Parks first, I think, these matters. Don't you think that it should be diverted that way first?
I mean, he wanted to purchase it and just put it up there and not even say that he was gonna do it, and he did not want to wait till the Parks Committee. So that's why he wanted to come here, because his grandkids come and, he wants something for them to do there, why don't we have basketball teams, put it up there. So I kind of just tried to direct him to do that, to see if he was able to do it. Otherwise, he just was gonna purchase it and sit it there, and nobody knew. So,
I know last year before you were involved, in the little park behind my house, somebody had pounded in snow fencing and made almost like a little baseball diamond, and no one had given them permission to do it.
Right.
And that was all, the city went and took it down.
You have to.
Okay, there's just real quick too, because I know we have an engineer here, concerning updates. Lead worker job description we just created, that's gonna be just kind of a rubber stamp, it's for the one position that we're hiring, and we just added some leadership things, driver's license. We're gonna hire 5 summer employees this evening. Olivia Hansar, Gianna Lay, worked here last year, Dakota Cruz, and Easton Sark, and that was discussed with Public Works staff. And myself, so we have a lot of input on that, as well as Tim Suba, with the application as well. There's an ARP request for laptops and accessories for $214. 8,000 was approved. The total bill was $8,214, and the auditors asked if we could add the extra $214.19 on it. Since we had approved 8,000 already, they would like the $214.19 added to it. So this is before my time as well, so it's just a cleaning up that the ARPA funds would be $8,214.19.
So we got like, what, 4 or 5 laptops with the 8,000?
Yeah, and there were some other technological things they purchased with it, and accessories.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Real quick, Luke, can we go back to the city workers real quick?
Yeah.
Just real quick, I know we had an incident last year, it was not brought to the council, I brought it, I was expecting it to come to the council. Is there any way that we can, make sure that these kids realize that there's no cell phones when they're driving the city vehicles, because there was multiple incidents, which would have been very, very bad, and the only reason it did not end up terrible is because the person that was driving actually saw the worker on their phone and shoot across the highway. It was between a car.
Yeah.
They didn't see the driver. He saw that she was texting. Oh, sorry, so the only 2. She was texting, and the only reason that he did not hear her is because he saw her texting. He slowed down because he knew exactly what was going to happen.
It's not
We
just
gotta
in
be-
the vehicles, it's also the lawnmowers.
Lawnmowers.
Well,
Yep, it
and
was a
that's the
lawnmower.
idea of the lead, and, you know, I will make sure we sit down and have an adequate meeting with the expectation.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we had, because I don't
There'd
think
be a
it,
clause in their job descriptions, don't you sign up, don't you do some HR with them to upfront?
There's a meeting that they have for safety and whatnot,
Okay.
and there's an expectation meeting that you'll sit down and go over.
okay.
And what's the consequence if they're caught?
Well, it would be the same consequence that we follow with the other employee, you know.
Which is what?
Well, I would do a written,
Okay.
a written notification, and probably the second strike you're gonna
Yeah.
down. Summer.
Okay, okay,
Well,
That
the
would-
hand, phone in the hand is a violation of state law.
yeah.
That would count for the lead worker too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And
Because
if
lead
you're under
worker-
18, if you're caught, you lose your license.
I don't do juvenile stuff, so.
Lead worker, we used to have.
I'm going through driver's training with my son.
Thought you were
No,
I'm sorry.
some family experience.
I
He
just
takes
wanted
his
to-
test next week.
Wanted you aware of that, Luke. I
No, that's good.
apologize to go back.
And the liability would be incredible in this situation, yeah.
Exactly.
So I guess on that, I'm gonna, hand it over to the attorney for his updates, we do a, short-term, long-term ordinances and stuff like that.
With that being said, I think we continued it for about a month, so everybody had a chance to look at it. It's kind of ahead of the curve and updating, so that the city's got some control over the long-term and short-term rental of properties. My understanding there's quite a significant amount of rental properties in the city of Aurora. And so, this way you get a chance to inspect them. I've heard of cases where there's no running water in some houses, using buckets to take care of stuff, and this way it gives the city some control over what type of sanitation ability the rental properties have, and if they're complying with the ordinance the city of Aurora plans on enacting. So I think it's in Aurora's best interest to do this, and it's up to the council to decide if it meets with their approval or not. And they aren't, they're always subject to modification or addition, and we'll see how it plays out, in actual, if it's it's enacted, live and learn, but we got something on the books, the council passes it tonight, and then we'll go from there in the future. I don't know if anybody had any questions about the two ordinances or not.
I just have a question about how would we transition into implementation? In other words, it's assuming we approve and it, say, goes into effect July 1st or something, but the whole cycle is envisioned to be December 31st, right? So
Yeah,
when,
if that's what it says, what the ordinance says is when the effective date is.
right, but I'm just saying, okay, so I'm property owner X, the ordinance goes into effect. Unless we allow something, am I not illegal at that point until I get a license registration?
Well, there's always the transition period, if you know what I mean.
That's what I'm asking about.
Yeah.
So what we decided we would do is notify, we would do public posting, put it in the shopper, put it in the official minutes, the official paper, or do some social media posting, and we'll get as many as we can out there that way. And then once we have people coming in, say we have 200 of them, and 100 to get 100 that way, we'll whittle the list down to another 100, and we'll send them direct mail in to say, hey, this is where we're at, this is what we have to do.
So, again, what I'm trying to get at is, assuming somebody already has these rentals, right, they're ongoing, the ordinance goes into effect, how do they get an umbrella for a period of time? In other words, they have to comply, say, they have to have their registration done within, say, 60 days of the effective date of the ordinance, or something like that.
Says August 1st in here.
That's
Yeah.
enough time.
That's
All right,
enough
well,
time.
That's
depending on
enough
when we
time.
adopt it, right, when it becomes effective.
Yeah, that's what it says
If we
right
do
here.
it tonight, there would be plenty
We
of
All
have
right.
a lead time of August 1st to the
Yeah.
1.
All
time.
right.
There would be plenty of time.
And then when they do the registration and pay the registration fee, I got the impression when I read through it that it was a December 31st, or January 1st to December 31st license? Or is there, for the first year, some
We
kind of an
is there a
exception?
proration?
We can prorate it.
I would say we could
Yeah.
prorate it.
Okay,
Yeah, you would, if it's August, August, September, October, November, so 5 months, 5/12ths of the fee, is that what you're thinking?
Whenever we go through that.
okay, yeah, I would just,
So in the short-term notice, I see that the insurance requirement made it, but I looked through here a couple times and I don't see that insurance requirement in the ordinance number 97 concerning registration section of rental property. So did I miss it or am I just?
So which one, in the short term or the long term?
The first one, 97. And the 98, I found it, but it's quite a bit shorter, I realize.
Yeah.
And it's found underneath
they-
section 10 of the second one, but. Yeah, okay, which one is registration requirements? Okay, it was just outlined a little bit different. Okay, yep, I think you Doug. I just wanted to make sure that made it in.
It's under 3.
Found it, thanks.
Last one didn't sit there.
I know it was the last one, I must have looked it over like 5 times and I missed it everything. So that's good that's in there, I'm happy about that.
And I did have one question on short-term rentals. There's a tax that goes to, there's like a lodging tax. I know I talked to Luke about this, and you have to pay it every month. Is there any way that we can turn around and we can have that tax paid to the city of Aurora?
Well,
Rather than,
it gets more to the housekeeping, I think, looking at the cities on the range, like for the lodging tax, to put it to Iron Range Tourism, that's what the money goes to. And I think Evelyn was the fiscal agent,
and they
so the
get
money gets
3%
collected.
of, yeah, they get
and then-
3% of that.
Yeah, and do they make their money back on that? Probably not, if I had to guess, even with all the communities participate. To me, for the amount of money you're probably gonna get, my opinion is not worth the time of staff doing it, but again, I'm not an elected official, that would be something that you guys would have to decide.
The other thing is it does have to go to the tourism bureau or something.
It does
Right,
have
we
to,
know
that's a
that.
state law,
So-
that is a state law that it
Yeah,
has to go
it
to
has to
tourism.
go to
Yeah.
the tourism bureau.
So then
state law.
in turn, what does it do, does this tourism bureau, sorry, is there like a certain thing that has to come back, like
Well,
come
you
back
remember
to
Tony
Aurora?
Jeffries used to come to
Yeah.
the council meeting, he was the Iron Range Tourism.
Yep,
And then the pamphlet or the thing that they put out, that's where the money's going, is to promote the Iron Range.
And Tourism Bureau.
Right.
Yeah.
They had the big colored pamphlet that is spent probably a lot of money
And
on.
that bureau would be like Forest Highway 11, when they're advertising that, pushing that, you're going to the maps, Forest Highway 11. We are gonna reach out to them for the museum that's in the building and downstairs,
Okay.
and that's done, and
To get
include it on
people
their
there.
tab for that.
perfect,
So
okay.
we are talking to them in the museum. They did just show up at the East Range June Powers Board meeting and
Okay.
talk to us about stuff.
Okay,
Did they did the recreational trail map too?
They do that, they work with the bike trail as well, the Sony Trail and a lot of good stuff, so. And then, the 30 days is, I did talk to Jackie and Evelyn, and she said that all the short-term rentals are doing 30 days.
Mhm.
I can give you their contact information if you wanna chat her and see how they're doing
Perfect.
that. She does have a form that, it's pretty simple, it's relatively easy form. But Great Lakes is doing that, obviously, all the other towns are doing that, so we're just kind of, and our ordinance does say that, so.
and my other question on the rentals, I just wanna verify, this is per parcel, so if you have a property that has like 3 units in it, it's rental license per parcel, correct?
That's how I would read it.
That's okay, I just wanna make
We're
sure that I
talking
read that correct.
Short-term rentals. so-
Short-term
yeah.
and long-term. When you have to have a rental,
Yeah.
you have to have a rental, license, whether it's short-term or long-term, as long as it's on one parcel, one license will cover it, correct?
Oh, where are you reading that?
So, let's just say I have Rogers Online, which is a commercial space, I have a commercial space, and then
Right.
there's 3 apartments upstairs.
Okay.
That, technically, there's 3 rentals, but it's sitting on one parcel, it's one
Right.
parcel code.
Well, if it's on one parcel code and
Then
the
it's just
ordinance
one
says that you
license.
only need one, permit, then.
That's what I wanted to
But
confirm.
let's-
Okay.
Where, did you got it? Brian?
No, I just read through it, and these are just questions that are coming up off the top of my head, sorry. I just wanted to make sure, that's the way I understood it, that it was
Okay.
per parcel code, not per rental, because otherwise then we'd have,
You'd have way too many.
we'd have a lot of rental licenses.
Yeah. I think that's
I
exactly
just
what
wanted
the
to,
intent was.
okay. Perfect, thank you.
So if they have multiple buildings in town, they have to have a different permit
For
each.
each
Each
parcel
building,
code.
but, yeah.
Yep,
Right.
Got
Just to clarify, the Dolan House, for instance, operated by the music festival, those are all short-term rentals, right? And have they
Right.
been
Yep.
collecting the tax, do we know?
they haven't been,
They haven't done.
Yeah.
They should be, and they'll have to do a
Wasn't the
rental
2
license.
that were just mentioned, right?
So, talking to Jackie, if there's a new short-term rental or that's in there, it's our responsibility to let them know who it is, and at that point, they deal directly with them.
okay,
So as people come up and are applying for short-term rental licenses and getting registered, we have to let them know about it, then it goes in there.
okay.
Yeah.
They will, it's on us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else? Sorry, my questions, I apologize.
You're good one.
Yeah, I mean, gotta find out sooner than later.
Right, exactly.
I'm sure there'll be shakedown issues, right, as we go about implementing it. It's a big change for a lot of people.
Okay.
Okay, good. Josh?
Yeah, so been working on a number of things. I think the big thing I wanted to update council on. So one of the commitments as coming on board as city engineer was developing a capital improvement plan for the city of Aurora. Just kind of a refresher that that plan is, it's intended to be a living document to identifies and prioritizes infrastructure improvements. Develops a funding plan to fund said projects, and then it ranks them and prioritizes based on need. And so we're at a point where we have a very solid draft of that capital improvement plan that identifies projects as far as the next 10 years, primarily infrastructure, street reconstruction, but in there we also have crack sealing, chip sealing, maintenance activities. We've worked with staff to identify other things like culvert repairs that would be needed, and just fitting them in the process. And so we're at a point where nailing down the final details with city staff, but I think, you know, come the next council meeting, I'd like to present it to council and get feedback on it. But overall, we're at the completion point on that capital improvement plan. I do like to call it a living document. You know, we need to update it year to year just based on needs and things change, but as of right now, we're very comfortable with where we're at on that one. The next thing, Pine Grove Park. So I'm sure you've seen some activity out there. NTS was out there this week doing soil borings. So we should have that data here in the next couple days, at least the draft boring logs. Based on that, they'll give us a recommendation on pavement and any subgrade corrections needed if they find some mucks or, you know, poor soils. But from there, we're planning to survey tomorrow. We were out, I think, last week, got some of the initial survey, but waiting for the snow to clear. I think spring is finally springing. So we'll get the rest of that topo tomorrow and start on that final design of that parking lot here in May. I think we're still on schedule to have that wrapped up and start bidding in June and potentially award that contract if bids are good at the July council meeting. So if there's any questions from council, I'd happily answer any.
We are planning on doing a capital improvement plan presentation next agenda. So. That's all I have.
So we got an extra minute. Do we have to adjourn this meeting?
Yeah, I'm
let's
gonna
start.
try this one and then we'll take a recess till
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported, seeing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.